What do you do during a typical work week?
Well, most days start out with pulling parts to go to our other stores. So we have locations in Kokomo and Merrillville, and we pull all the parts that are stock transfers and replenishment stock. So that's the first thing that we normally do, and I help with that every morning. Then usually have some type of inventory pull that we're doing to send product back to the company, so obsolete product or cores or something that needs to go back to the company. So usually do that sort of second thing in the day. Then each day we have two drivers that come in. We kind of act as the hub for the transfers that happen between our different stores. So we have a driver that shows up at 11:30 and then one that shows up at 12 o'clock. And so we have to make sure that all of the products come off of their vehicle that are coming to us or going to one of the other stores, and then we load all of the product that we pulled in the morning that was for that store, load it onto their vehicle and make sure that they get on their way. We have what are called hot items, which are items that are going directly to a customer, and then we have stock items that are just going back onto our shelves. The stock items obviously need to be checked into our inventory. They get scanned in with a scan gun and then entered into the system, and then those products have to be put away, put up on the shelves. I also help with discrepancies. So anything that comes in, we get an order in from a company and the packing slip says that we're supposed to have 27 parts, for instance, and we check everything in and there are only 25 parts. So we have to determine which two weren't there and then file a discrepancy claim with the company, and then follow up on that. So that requires emailing, sometimes filling out a particular form online depending on the company, and then watching for those credits and matching those up as they come in so that we know that we've gotten credited for the items that we were short or damaged. Sometimes we get extra product, so we still file that as well. Special orders are starting to become something I do as well. And so about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we get all the special orders that need to be ordered from different companies. We get those placed with the companies. Sometimes that's calling in, sometimes that's an email, sometimes that's filling out information on a company's website with online e-ordering. So that has to be done. We also create invoices for the customers that are wanting those special orders. And that prints off the paperwork then that when the product comes into the store, we have something to match up to, and we know who gets which products. We have oftentimes cores coming back from our different dealers, our customers that are either car dealerships or our repair houses. And so like brake calipers, for instance, rack and pinions, that sort of thing, all have a core charge. So those come back to us. We have to get those separated and make sure that they are credited back to the customer, and then get those boxed up and sent back to the company so that we get our money back on those cores.
Do employees have the opportunity for advancement within your organization?
Yeah, absolutely. When I started here, I started as a parts puller, mostly to get familiar with the store and to know where all the products were, and then fairly quickly moved into a position in the warehouse, working with another gentleman who had been in the warehouse for quite a while. So he sort of trained me in there. As other responsibilities became available, either because employees quit or they didn't have time to deal with things, I've taken on more and more of leadership role in the warehouse, and also taking over a lot more of the day-to-day upkeep of the system with inventory control and receiving, purchasing, that sort of thing. So I've been able to advance over the 3.5 years that I've been here quite a bit, and keeps it challenging, keeps it fun. I feel like it's an opportunity to be more involved in the meat of what's going on in the organization too, which is fun for me to feel like I make a difference, not just a person that could be replaced by anybody.
What percentage of your time is spent working with staff, and what percentage of time would you be working independently?
Well, I've started to take more and more of an independent role because I'm doing more of the office work. In the warehouse, it was probably 75% of the time was spent working with others and about 25% on my own. Now it's probably more of a 50-50 situation. So a lot of times I'm working directly with the owners or with accounting, whereas before I was working with other warehouse staff. Before, it was probably 75 to 80% of the time was co-working with someone else. We oftentimes try to work in pairs because we feel like it just keeps it from getting monotonous and makes it a little bit more fun. Things seem to go easier, faster.
What are the most significant problems you face in your specific job?
Right now, I'm still getting familiar with some of the passwords and some of the entry into the websites for some of the companies that I'm working with, but that's just because I'm taking over some new responsibilities I haven't had before. I would say overall our biggest problem is product being put away incorrectly, and so when a parts puller goes to pull the product, they can't find it. Either because it's been an odd sized box and so it doesn't fit on the shelf correctly, so we have to put it in some other location. That can make things kind of tough, but oftentimes I think it's more a little bit of dyslexia, people transposing numbers, and we'll put product in the wrong spot on the shelves, and so then we have to kind of go searching for it. Warehouse staff paying attention to where they put products and making sure that it's correct is probably one of our largest battles every day. Counter staff doing special orders, trying to pull product from either our other stores or from one of our distributors. If it's not available from the first source and they have to switch and get it from somewhere else, sometimes that information doesn't get relayed back to the customer. And if there's going to be, they're expecting it like next day, and if it has to come from, say, 2 states away, it might be a 2-day lead time to get that part. And it's really important for us to relay that information to our customers so they know what to expect, because their schedule for their repair shop is dependent upon parts being there when they're promised.
When a new employee is hired, what are the most important attributes you seek within them?
Well, work ethic is huge. Everybody does pretty good for the first few weeks, and then it kind of falls off and you kind of get to see true colors. Punctuality is probably one of the biggest things that we face. People getting to work on time is really an issue. We have a lot of folks who just can't seem to make it 2 weeks straight without missing a day or coming in late, calling in late. And that can really throw things off. It means a lot of jockeying around of responsibilities for different people. And luckily we're able to do that, but we shouldn't have to. There's I think an industry-wide problem with that. And that part of it's work ethic, part of it is entitlement, I guess. Start sounding like an old guy. A sense of not really caring about fellow employees, maybe just looking out for number one, and I don't feel like going to work today. And I always think to myself, what's that going to do to everybody that I work with? If I stay home today, then they're going to have to make up for it, and that's not fair to them. It really does affect everybody in a negative way if there's a truancy issue.
Do you have any advice for me or others who are interested in your field?
The biggest piece of advice I would have for going into any work situation, again, kind of goes back to that punctuality, show personal responsibility, really prove to your coworkers, especially your coworkers, but also your bosses, that you're there to do your job, do it well, make their life easier, and that you take it personally, that you want to do the best job you possibly can. Show that. You're going to be ahead of 90% of the rest of the workforce out there. Just showing up on time and caring. And I don't care what job you're in. I don't care if you're a nurse or if you're going into warehousing or retail or engineering or whatever it is. Taking personal ownership in your position and thinking of it as a part of who you are, an extension of yourself, and putting yourself into it. I mean, if you're going to do something at least 40 hours a week, why not do it to your best ability? You'll feel better about yourself, and I think that other people will see that, and they feel that sense of connection. The more you give to a situation, the more you get back. For every ounce you put in, you get tenfold back. You can make connections with your coworkers and build relationships and really take pride in what you do. As you get older, those are the things that you're going to take pride in, and you're going to, I guess, maybe judge yourself on whether or not you've been successful. Do you have a solid group of people around you who would do anything for you because they know you would do that for them too? And that's huge.